Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Fawn.
What's up, everybody? This is Herschel Fawn from High School Top 200. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Meeting podcast. I am your host and presenter, owner of High School Top 200. My name is Herschel Fawn. Welcome back for another one. If you're not following me on my socials, please follow me on TikTok. Please follow me on Instagram as well. HS Top 200. Both of those platforms. I'll try and do better at adding more stuff. I just find it hard to get all those things done, as well as getting everything else done. But I'm getting better. Trying to do more videos and stuff like that. Getting better at trying to edit. But HS Top 200 on IG and TikTok. On Facebook, follow me on High School Top 200, and then on YouTube, it's High School Top 200. Also, a $5 subscription on my website for ranking changes throughout the week. We got the year 11s changing. I've already changed the top 100. I've put King's High School back to number 1, so that's like a new one after their win over St. Kinnigan's. If someone has the game, please send it to me so I can watch it. I really want to watch that one. Also the Lister and St. Peter's, I really want to watch that game. A bunch of other games from around the country. Silverstream Tower, I want to see how that one looked. I wanted to see a bunch of those ones, even like Central Southland College, I wanted to see that game. Send me those games, send me any games from around the country. I'll be happy to watch all of them, as many as I can. $5 subscription for the month. hstop200.com. There's no sign up. It's not for free. It's a $5 subscription, so don't worry about what it says and all that language of sign up for free kind of rubbish. I didn't do that. I still can't take it off, but it's just what it is, and I have to kind of deal with it. So $5 subscription for the month. This one today that I'm going to do is all going to be on my draft idea that I tried to do the other week, and I messed up, and so I'm doing this again because I didn't actually know how to save it properly and I messed it up. So I'm doing this video again. Now, this is my idea for a NPC draft, and I'm going to explain how it works. I'm going to explain who's eligible, how much money they get, what teams they get for, how long the contract is for, what it gets you, how it builds, how it all works in terms of landing opportunities, growing the sport, finding something new. And like, I've had this idea before, and I've put it out before, and I've just done it sort of vaguely in terms of like, I'd want all the teams to choose and have a night of it, all that kind of stuff, which is still part of it now, but I think I've gone more in depth in how I really want it to work and how I see it working in the future. And before anybody wants to write it off, don't be a Kiwi like that and just write everything off, because that's just what we do. Just have a listen and see what can be done to sort of make it work. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this back up is because I feel like New Zealand is losing the battle against South Africa in terms of creativity and giving a different energy to rugby in New Zealand. Rugby in New Zealand, to me, feels a bit stale, feels a bit old, feels a bit dull. No electricity in it. There's no spectators, there's no storyline, and as much as I can't stand American entertainment and the way that they overdo things, I think in this sense we have to be humble enough to go, we have to learn how to do this. We have to learn how to be somewhat like that. Now, I'm not saying go full bill or more American and sort of be as cheesy as they are, because that's what I think most Americans are. And my wife's American, so like, you know, I just have a lot of that. But I'm saying that we need to have some of that emotional, we have to trap that emotion, be able to use it, direct it, and build off it. And I think that's what Americans do great in terms of entertainment within their sports. So I think we're losing the battle against South Africa. I think they're more creative. They love the game more than we do. They support the game more than we do, which New Zealanders are not just, we're just not great supporters in terms of rugby. We love the All Blacks, but all of our other teams we just like. So I think draft is going to will be one of the ways to reinvent rugby here in New Zealand. So I've tried to write this down, so hopefully it doesn't sound too messy or get too messy for everyone, and everyone can follow it along. So first things first is that how we get our players, all right? Now, the idea of the draft is that all players that are finishing high school can put their name into the draft. The first rule to this, though, is that no agents can contact any players until after the last exam has been sat here in New Zealand. And then in that little bit of time period from after that last exam, so that all kids can just concentrate on school, concentrate on their rugby. They don't have any talk from any kind of agents. They can't be signed by any kind of agents, you know, whether it's NRL agent or, you know, rugby union agents. Every kid has to be agent free. They cannot be bothered. They cannot be, you know, talked to, or the parents cannot be talked to. They have to wait till the last exam from the whole year has finished, and then after that day they can talk to the boys as much as they can, as much as they want. Agents can attend games, but they can't make contact with the parent or the player or whoever the kid's guardian is, all right? And I think that with that rule put in place first, takes away the I guess the nervousness of a player, the worrying about it. Just like let them play their game, let them go throughout the year without, you know, any kind of stress of like what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff. You just play your rugby. Agents can be there. Agents can watch the games. Agents can scout the game and assess the players and all that kind of stuff. And when the last exam is set, then they can make contact with the parent and also with the players. That's the first thing. The second one is that when you put your name into the draft, you have to be year 13, and your contract will only be for 3 years, and it's a guaranteed contract for 3 years if you get drafted. Okay, so the way that works, and what I mean by that is that it's going to last the same amount of time that your eligibility for the New Zealand under-20s. And the reason why I say 3 years is because most players put into development are usually on a 3-year contract, and then they're reassessed after under-20s. Meaning that, for example, if you're drafted by Waikato, you can try and make, you can try and make the under-19s for Waikato, then you try and make the under-20s. If you miss out, then you got another year, and then after that, if you're young enough, you can have another year. But then you have three years of trying to make under-20s, and then after that, then your next step is after that contract, after a 3-year contract. My thing is that in that time, you can also start learning the game being a part of the agent, seeing what the franchise is like, and you can also sort it out yourself. So every kid knows that once he finishes school and he puts his name in the draft, he's got a 3-year contract from then on if he gets drafted. And I'm going to explain why when I mean if he gets drafted, okay? So the way the draft works is that you take the year before, you find out whoever the worst team was from the year before, and let's just say it's like Northland. And we'll just put Northland at number 1. So let's say Northland came last, and then Canterbury won the competition, and so they came first, and so they will have the last pick. That's 14 teams. Northland will have the number 1 pick. They go through 7 rounds of selections. So every single year you'll bring 7 guys that you've selected into your rotation of development players, and they all have a 3-year, so this will give you a chance for 3 years to start building teams that will go into it. And the idea is that Northland can start building, like let's say Northland gets out in the 3-year span, they come last 2 times or even 3 times, at least they've got 3 number 1 picks that can help them build their program back up, instead of Waikato getting the best player because they come from here, or Auckland still getting the best player, or Canterbury still getting the best player, and they're just redoing it, and then other provinces can't build up. But that's how it works. So every year you have 7 picks. There'll be 7 rounds, 7 picks. Everybody in the first round, and this is regardless of whether you pick number 1 or number 14 within the first round, everyone gets $70,000 for that first. 70,000 all the way through, and then the last 2 you're divided by 5s. So we'll go obviously $70,000 for the first pick, for the first round, 60,000, 50,000, 40,000, 30,000. The last 2 rounds of 5,000, just to split it off. And so every year they are guaranteed that 70,000, and for the next 3 years, and the reason why it's that much is because I feel like for us, and this is part of the old thing, is that we need to try and keep our kids here. We need to try and keep our players here. And I know that I'm part of this problem of telling kids to chase their dreams. We can chase it overseas if they want to, or go to the other code like league, because in my eyes, and I've said this from the start, is that I'm here for the players. I'm not here for the franchises or anything like that. I'm just here for the players. So we have to give them some kind of incentive to stay. We have to give them some kind of incentive to go, I want to be the best. I want to be in the first round. I want to go to a good team. I want to go to, all that kind of stuff that comes into it. And so every single round you drop down in 10,000s and stuff. In the last 2 rounds you to 5s. But my thing is that you've got to give some kind of kids some incentive and some money to stay, so that they will be able to go to wherever they're picked and all that kind of stuff. And the kid has to know and has to agree to that when he puts his name into the draft, is that he is going to go to a place where he may not want to be. And that's just the reality of it. Okay, but that's the system that we have to have in New Zealand that has to change things up. All right, and this is where where we as New Zealanders have to come together in terms of the fact where, of course, the kid will want to study, all that kind of stuff, and we have to work it out. The teams have to work it out with universities that they're able to do their studies regardless of where they are, where they're living. They've got to work something else out. That's just the other side of it. And even apprenticeships, things like that too. And so that's the next one. So everyone has 7 picks a year. 7 rounds, 7 picks a year. You pick a round. Northland, let's say Northland example is the worst team, so they get the number 1 pick in every single round. Then the payment comes. Now, the trick to this though is that, let's say, and we'll just use Ollie Gurin, right? Let's say Ollie Gurin, he from Hamilton Boys, Northland pick him number 1. Now, because they're signed for 3 years, he gets his $70,000 for getting drafted. Now the next year, someone else can compete for his pay, meaning that, let's say Ollie doesn't do good in his first pay, and then Northland says, actually the guy that was picked in the 3rd round, he's actually our best, and so we will move him up and move someone else down. So Ollie could lose his $70,000 packet and be like 60,000 or 50,000 depending. So those 7 that were picked doesn't mean each year they get that same one if they don't deserve it, or if they are not working out the way that they thought, meaning that every kid has to work at staying at peak form, peak performance, doing all those things that a professional would, because this is kind of the lifestyle that you're now choosing. This, to me, and my way of thinking, means that somebody who was picked, let's say the last person that was picked in that for Northland in that draft, let's say that he works himself up and he goes, well, I got picked 7th in the 7th round by Northland. I want to try and get to that 50,000 in my second year. That gives him incentive to work hard and beat the other guys out, meaning that he could actually work his way up. The other reason why I say this is it keeps people sharp and keeps people at peak performance, is that we have seen guys who have not been the greatest first 15 players, but it just took them another year to boost themselves up. There was just that switching when it comes to club rugby. It just works for them. Everything just falls into place, and then they're just amazing from there on. We need these guys to push the guys at the top as well. And I think that would be a system that you would be able to lead these players to bring their best performance every single year and come back prepared, come back professional, all that kind of stuff. So for those 3 years, even though you get picked in a certain round, if you're not putting in the performances like you should be, the way that they selected you, then that could be lost to one of the other guys in your same draft. Not the next year, I'm saying within your same draft. And so to me, that's just a way of like making sure that everyone comes back and they're working hard. Laziness doesn't become a part of it. It's just like, hey man, if you want to keep that pay packet for the next year, you got to work hard and do it and get up there. And that's just one of the things that I think will change the mentality of all the players, give all the players that experience of what professionalism can be like before they actually reach the big time of professionalism after their 3 years is done and they're not eligible for under 20s anymore. That's the draft part of it. So meaning that in my mind, I would say that the time of the NPC has to be changed, all that kind of stuff, and moved around so that it can cater for our, the big night of the draft, just the way that the NFL, NBA does it, and the MLB, where it's a big night, and whoever the New Zealand Rugby Unions shaking their hands, having photos, having pictures, things like that. All of that kind of stuff happens. We've got to be able to make it look big, make it exciting, make it worth it, make it glamorous, make it a memorable night for a big step for a player. Now, what this also does, and this is from a fan's point of view, is that from a fan's point of view, we'll just keep with this Ollie example, and Ollie going to Northland. The people in Northland get to now pay attention to Fish 15 Rugby, pay attention to who the stars are, have their own kind of opinion on who they like better, what player they want, what position they think needs to be filled, what position they need to focus on, who would work good with the other players that are already on that team, things like that. It starts giving more interest into what your team is, and you get to grow with that player in your community, in your team, and you get to grow and like see him grow through over the next 3 years. And for me, it's like when you draft a guy, you want to see him in your under 19s for Northland, you want to see him make the Blues under 20s, you want to see him have a really good shot at making the New Zealand under 20s in his first year out of school. Someone like Jack Wiseman, who's done that out of New Plymouth Boys, like one of the guys who was in New Zealand secondary schools, made Barbarians, one of those kind of guys. And you're like, cool, we get to see him grow and we get to know what his story is, and he's within our community. So you get to see this young guy grow up in your community around everybody else. You get to follow him through, make him feel at home, all that kind of stuff, okay? Now, the money side of this. Now, this is where I was thinking about it when I was coming up with this, and everyone's going to go, well, you have to pay for someone, for this kid, for $70,000 a year. This is where your community comes into it. The businesses in your community, your province reaching out to the wealthier companies, the wealthier people within your community, and then getting your community to jump in and help you out with that kind of stuff. Meaning that we can come with a different approach of how we can come with this different approach of how we promote our players, how we promote different businesses within our own communities, and they're not just the same ones that we see all the time. For example, like, we won't have to see Gallagher's all the time. Not that I don't like it. It's like, we don't have to see Gallagher's all the time. We don't have to see the same beer all the time. We don't have to see the same, all these other things that, Chemist Warehouse, all this kind of stuff, that all the same kind of ones we see. Let's say Ollie Guerin, we're just going to use him again in Northland. Let's say a forestry company goes, oh, we'll pay that $70,000 for him. And every post that he has, he can check our name on it. Every post that he has, he'll chuck his name, their name on his post. Everything that mentions Ollie Guerin in terms of Northland Rugby will have that person. And so Ollie will get to know this company, be a part of the company, be a representative, in that kind of way. And it puts ownership of responsibility and ownership of his career and his personality out there as a professional, representing this company, this new company that's come into it through forestry, as well as Northland Rugby. And it's just one of those things that gets your community to be part of it. I looked at it in terms of when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about all these in my mind. I looked at it and go, look at how many private schools we have around the country. And I looked at it from that point of view, and I go, not all these kids are on scholarship. Most of these kids are not on scholarship. We have a lot of wealth and rich people here in New Zealand, and I think that in these smaller communities, they can be a part of the rugby scene too. We can get new companies to be a part of New Zealand rugby as well. We can get new companies that we've never really heard of, that we didn't know there was such a big part of, a big part of Bay of Plenty. There's a company there that we just don't really know of, but it's a massive part of Bay of Plenty. There's one in Manawatu, there's a few in Manawatu that are massive companies that we just had no idea of, because we have the same sponsorships all the time, the same ones. And I'm not saying that these other companies just don't want to do it. Maybe these other companies don't have a chance to do it. But if we give them a shot with these growing superstars coming out of high school, making their way through rugby, and then they can be supported by these new companies coming into it and getting their foot in the door in terms of being like, oh, we want to be part of that now. This is the way that I feel like they can do it. And they can do it through the province, through players, and have them come through. Let's say, like, for example, someone like Tupou Vai, right? Coming from Wesley, coming from South Auckland. Let's say that he just gets drafted by, we'll just keep Taranaki, because he's not even from Taranaki, he's from South Auckland. And so let's say Taranaki, as they have got him already, they draft him. Then a new company goes, oh, we want to attach ourselves to this kid because we saw him play at Wesley College. We really like this kid. We've talked to him, we've sat down with him. It's like, look, we'll cover that pay for him in the first round. He was a number 1 pick or number 2 pick or whatever. He goes, we'll cover that 60,000 for you. And now that Tupou is the guy that he is now, having that company attached to him all the way through, brought their guys through. These are kind of like the opportunities where I feel like I don't think that there's a lot of companies that have that opportunity to get into this game of, rugby representative, and I think it's kind of just taken up by the same ones all the time. This is why a chance for getting through. I also mentioned this because I was having this conversation, and this is where the growth of the game comes into it, and this is where I feel like the growth of the game will come into it, is that we have the NPC and we have what's the other one called? Heartland. Oh, Heartland. We got the Heartland one, right? I was talking to this guy, and this is the last conversation I have. I was talking to this guy, he's part of King Country, and he was saying how King Country was this and that back in the days, and because I didn't really watch rugby back then, and I'm not that old. I was going to Eden Park with my dad in the 90s when Auckland was killing everyone, and the All Blacks was like 14 players, 14 starters were all from Auckland. That kind of, I'm from that sort of generation. And so this guy was talking to me how King Country was this and that and whatever, and they had Pine Tree and all that kind of stuff and whatever. And I asked him, I was like, do you think you guys would ever get back into it? He goes, nah, we wish we could and all that kind of stuff. So I was kind of like, this is where my mind went into this, right? My mind went into it and that kind of, this guy's story. And I thought, well, what if King Country did want to get back into it? What if King Country said, we want to put our name into the NPC and we want to be able to see if we can build back our reputation as a rugby province in this country. And if we jump in next year, we have to have the next 3 number 1 picks, just so that we can add another team to the NPC, and we can sort of grow the game and have more more teams part of that competition, be able to get more teams into it or more players into like top rugby and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, from this guy's perspective, I think if we were to have an approach where King Country made a bid and they said, look, we've gone around our province, we've had a look in Taupo, we've had a look in Taumaranui, we've looked in like Otahanga and Tikawiti, we found shearing sheds, we found farmers, we found forestry, we found dairy farmers, we found some trusts groups within our area, and we've got their promise that they'll be able to take care of all this money. We've got Owen Delaney Park, which is a place where I love going to watch rugby, because we've got our own stadium. We've got some upgrades going on that. We've got things like that, and then they make a pitch to say, if you give us the next number 1 picks, we start building our team, and this is our bid to make it in. To me, I like this idea that if there's a draft and you can start building another province up to add to the competition, to get more players playing top rugby competition, to get more guys within the region of King Country to say, look, we've made a bid and we need all of you guys to be at this level. And if you're not, then you can't play for King Country, and we're going to start bringing players in. Giving guys the opportunity to go, oh, I've got 3 years to be able to play at this level, or someone's going to come in and, you know, sort of take our jobs from playing with King Country, and we can now be a higher professional outfit with the top, like Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Canterbury, all that kind of stuff. I think that if this was a chance to to bring back a province like Whanganui, to bring back Wairarapa Bush, to bring back North Otago, you know, having all these old school provinces that used to be good back in the days, and that gives them a chance and opportunity to make a bid to get back into this level of rugby. And they can do it through the draft, through building a team. They can do it through the community. It puts the responsibility back on the community, going, hey, if we want our own team and we're sick of traveling to Wellington to support their team, and we can just be Horowhenua Kapiti by ourselves, and we can build in Paraparaumu, we can get a little stadium out there, we can use the companies within our region to have them support our draft players. We got new trainers, we've got new facilities, and it puts ownership back on these provinces to go, this is our bid, this is what we can provide, this is our new training regime, this is our new scouting department and our talent ID, and this is how we're going to promote it. And these are schools within our area, within our competition, that we can actually sort of feed off and bring into our academies and things like that too. I think that this also opens up that opportunity to give these guys, these other provinces, an open door, or an opportunity for an open door to get back into top rugby, bringing with them extra money, extra local fans, having people come to games, and then having the clubs within that area be hopeful of, like, oh, I can make this team now. Like, we've got our own team that I can actually play for. I can actually try and aim to get into that, instead of just being part of the Heartland competition, and then that's kind of it. And I'm not dissing them or whatever, but I know that a lot of those teams would rather play against Auckland, Canterbury, Otago, Southland than play against the ones that they're actually playing. And for them to be on TV more, have more of the spotlight, have more of the community come and support them, have growing talent that are top talents in the country come and join their team and join their squad, and have like a new fresh energy about their area. I think that these guys, something like the draft can bring up all these possibilities and all these opportunities for other parts of New Zealand that don't usually get this kind of just this kind of new start. I think is what it is. I think it's a new start, and I think that if this was able to go through, I think that this will work and be not just a profitable, like money wise. I think it would spark new interest into rugby here in New Zealand, which we don't have. They'll be able to talk about the players coming through. They'll be able to talk about conversations about kids who are within their community who are going, oh, our kid from here can actually make it into the draft. He looks to be having a pretty good year. He's like, this and then he could get drafted to Otago, he could get drafted to Tasman, and all that kind of stuff. And it sparks up these new conversations that we can have about rugby, instead of the old, where some kid just shows up out of nowhere from your province, go, oh, where's he from? It's like, oh, he came from down south. It's like, oh, what school? And they go, oh, I don't know. It's like, oh, what did he do? Oh, I don't know. It's like, well, what do we know about this? Because I don't know, he's just on TV, he's just on our team. No one knows where players come from now. At least now with the draft, you have like information about that kind of stuff. You know where some of these kids are. Like a lot of kids here from Waikato probably think that Damien McKenzie's from here. Half of them probably don't even know that he came from Christ College, but he's actually from Invercargill. Like things like that. It's because he's been here for so long. People probably don't even know Anton Leonard Brown is not from here. He's from Christchurch Boys. He's just been here for so long. But we didn't get the story of that. We just showed up and there's this kid that's like really good and blonde, small kid, and there's this guy who's just like, oh, who's this big, second five center that's here? It's like, oh, just Anton something. But we need these stories. I think that we need these. I always have conversations with people, and I get emails or messages, private messages about kids who make it into like Super Rugby, and then they'll message me and go, bro, I remember watching this kid when you told me to go watch him at this school, and he was playing for Palmy Boys, and he was coming from Hastings, and I remember you told me he came from St. Andrews, and like things like that, and these like discussions that I think will open it up. I also think that having the protection, especially of kids being able to concentrate on school, and like obviously goes back to the first point that I brought up, was in terms of like making sure that he gets his studies done, he concentrates on his rugby, but concentrates on his studies, make sure he gets it done, and then after all the exams are finished and he's played out his whole season, then he can worry about the phone calls and then signing an agent, all that kind of stuff, if he wants to. But my idea is that kids put their name into a draft, they accept the terms of a 3-year contract, that they have till the eligibility of under 20s to make their name within that franchise, within that province, that they'll be eligible, they'll be able to get a bigger contract re-signing or going somewhere else, but they can establish themselves in there as well as establish themselves into a franchise. Like there could be other offers as well for chances for kids to be able to be a part of the community and, endorse other companies, find endorsements within that region, team up with like local businesses and be a spokesman for them, do things like that, and so I think these are all these opportunities that they have. They can be able to be a part of a night that is going to be memorable. They're going to be a part of a night that is going to be historic, things like that. And like, I reckon that if boys, and one thing that parents and adults don't understand is that kids don't care about being on TV anymore. Kids don't care about being around the camera because you people, and I'm talking about you people listening, raised your kids around cameras. We all did. My daughters have had a camera in front of their face since they were born. They've had videos since they were born. No kid cares about a camera. No kid is camera shy. No kid is like, have you seen those ones where those babies are crying, full in tears, then they put a camera up and then they start posing? It's like, yeah, because that's just what they do now. So all this like talk of we shouldn't have cameras at games and it puts extra, it's like they don't care. Kids don't care. That's not pressure to them. Kids don't care about the rugby game. Is just like, they don't care about them getting bumped off. They don't care about them getting hit. They just get hit, stand up, look for the number that did it, and then they're going to try and get them back as well. You get put on a highlight, you try and make a highlight. That's what kids have told me. Kids have told me themselves, it's like, I don't care, it just comes with it. We don't play rugby to smash everybody. We play rugby to see if what can happen and we can win a game. If you get smashed, you get smashed. If you smash someone, you smash them. So like all this talk about like, having cameras, national cameras, they put pressure on the kids. I was like, no, that's what we felt when we were kids. Because we didn't have camera phones. We didn't even have phones. Growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, we didn't have camera phones. We had the phones where they had the one bar and you just text the whole thing within that bar and then you try and send it off. Those are the ones that we grew up with. No one had like a smartphone or like a camera on it. So those were our fears. That's what we thought pressure was. These kids don't have that kind of thing anymore. So if this draft thing was to happen, schools should be promoting their players. I think they should be promoting their players now anyway. And I'm not even just talking rugby. I'm talking basketball, volleyball, rowing, soccer, boys and girls, for all sports, boys and girls. You know, I think we should have more boxers. I think we should have more MMA fighters. I think we should have more esport guys too. But I think we should promote them. I think we should record tournaments. I think we should do all these things. That's why Fakata Māori is so good at what they do, and I praise them so much for the work that they put into it. Because I watched swimming the other day. I watched the New Zealand national swimmings the other day. My sisters used to be swimmers. So I just thought I'll flick it over, watch it for hours or so while I was writing notes and, you know, doing some rankings and stuff like that. Put it on, have a watch it back and forth, you know, things like that. And so, like, we need to be able to find these new comforts, finding these new ways of promoting our kids. I think this draft would be a great idea. I think instead of just pushing it to the side and saying, nah, this will never happen, it's too hard, it's like, how are you going to do this, how are you going to do this? It's like, how about we just figure it out? Don't say no and just go, well, step by step, how do we figure it out? I'll even be happy enough to sit down with a bunch of guys that work for New Zealand Rugby and go, this was my idea, this is how I see this happening, you tell me where I'm wrong, and then how do we fix it up to make it right? I'll be willing to do that kind of stuff. I'll be willing to sit down with a team and do the research to go, how do we just get this done? Because, like, in my mind, it's just like we're not getting anywhere in rugby. And we've got some of the best rugby players in the world, female rugby players in the world. And yes, it's great that we got that All Black 15 as well as our black friends, but our under 18s still haven't got anything. Our rep players still don't really get anything, you know, like, there's no travelling teams in this area. There's no camps that they really go to. You know, I've seen counties hold their, you know, skills days and stuff like that. I've heard some others, you know, areas do skills days, but it's just not the same thing. And we had such a rush of pride and participation in girls' sports, and I didn't feel like New Zealand did anything to help move that along and to build that up. And I think something like a draft for our stale competition, for our stale, you know, enthusiasm for new rugby, it needs to be something. And I think that if they do a draft, I have a feeling that it will work. I have a feeling that it will give a new spark to New Zealand, not just to New Zealand rugby, but just to be more creative about what we do, to be more innovative in what we have and how we can do new things. Like, let's just try it, man. Like, I feel like we don't try anything. And I think this will work. I really do. Now, I don't have all the answers, but that's where I was just like, well, we're the smarter guys that can go, oh, Herschel, that doesn't work, but if we do something like this, I think that we'd be able to. It's like, cool, change it then. I don't care. Let's just try and get this done. Let's try and get these guys, let's try and give us like a new spark, you know? And then like soon we'll have like guys from Australia go, oh, can I put my name into that draft? It's like, cool, but you have to abide by the same rules that we do. Maybe we'll get South Africans jumping into our draft. And here's the thing, New Zealand, and I'm talking to you, New Zealand Rugby, if the South Africans, which do listen to this, and that do follow my page, I have a bunch of South African followers, if they listen to this, and then they go, oh, we'll just try and do it first, and they end up having a draft first before we do, bloody hell, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to be so pissed off if they do this first, because they listen to what I just said. I'm going to be so annoyed. And like, it's going to be great for them, because if it works out and they do it, because there's just so much, they're just better at being fans. It's just going to piss me off so much, but I'm just going to be happy that at least they're doing it. Now, I haven't articulated it the way that I really wanted to, but I'm not going to try and do any graphics like I was trying to do before. I'm not going to try and do all the stuff that I was trying to do. That's why I messed up my last tape, my last filming of this. But I think that if we're able to do a draft, we're able to make a memorable night where the boys get recognized. They get a chance to be in the spotlight. Have that being the start of their professional career. Like there's an actual starting point, and that was the point where they went on stage and shook the hand of whoever the New Zealand Rugby head guy is right now. And that's going to be a pivotal moment in each kid's life when they go, oh yeah, I was in the 5th round. I got drafted to Wellington in the 5th round. That's when I first started. Then I played for, I don't know, Marist or Oris or whatever. And then I ended up making the Wellington team and made the Hurricanes and made the All Blacks. And that's going to be their story. I lived in Auckland, got drafted to Wellington, came up through their system. It all worked out for me. But it started on that day that I walked across that stage, saw my name in lights, saw my highlights on the big screen, shook the guy's hand and took my photo and grabbed my hat, put my hat on, or put my beanie on, or put my scarf on, whatever we're going to do with it, and goes, it was the proudest moment of my life, see my family down there and go, this is my start. Has to be a story like that. Has to be some kind of like genesis for every kid's story of, so where did it start? It's like it started from high school, then I put my name in the draft. Didn't know how it was going to turn out. I knew that if I got drafted, I got an opportunity. And also, I'm not saying that if you put your name and you don't get drafted, your career's over. I'm just saying that in terms of the rounds, you have your 7 rounds. Guys that miss out on the draft and don't get drafted doesn't mean you can't sign them. It just means that you sign them after. You know, you can make another deal after that kind of thing. You can sign as many people as you want, but in terms of drafting and in the rounds that it happens, everyone gets 7 rounds. Everyone gets 7 new players to build off. Everyone gets 7 players in that cycle to go. You have 3 years to try and make it to your next contract, and let's just keep you at top performance. Either move up on your paycheck and try and get that 70,000 for the next year, or try and move up to the 60,000 or 40,000, whatever one you're at. Try not move down, put your best effort in, and then go from there. There has to be a story to this. There has to be some kind of, you know, I don't know, like people might want to be the villain in this. I don't know. However they want to take it. But if it means that we give them a start, if it means that there's a starting point to this, there's a storyline with it where I got, you know, this new company wanted to sponsor me, this fishery place wanted to sponsor me. I've been with them. I love the owner. I love his wife. I know his kids, and we've been there from the start. And then I made it all the way through to the All Blacks, and these guys have always been by my side. That to me is like the perfect story that you would want, especially if you went to like a small province. You know what I mean? You know, getting together with someone like Harcourts and like, I don't know, and like Topol, and them going, hey man, we've got a house for you. We know that you and your mum are going to move here. You got a missus that's coming here. We got a job down here that they can go to. You know, the community can provide all these things for the players that come. You know, it can actually be a community thing. Helping players feel comfortable being in these places that they just want to stay. Like honestly, like have people been to Topol? Have people been to the Mount? I bet someone from Southland went to the Mount and goes, I want to stay here. I want to try and play my career here. I want to live on the beach like this. You know what I mean? Have you been to Hamilton? How exciting this is? No, I'm joking. It's pretty boring, but I like boring. But like, those are the stories that we need. All right, those are the stories that we need. Those are the stories that need to be told. They got to be the best memories for our kids. And I hope this gets to the right people, to the right ears, and they build on this idea that they can actually go, oh, I know how to make this work. Herschel's starting it, and he's got a pretty good idea. There's some holes, but we can fix up those holes, and I think we can get it done. That's all I want to hear. That's all it should really be. Not like, oh, no, it's not going to work. Shut it down. Don't worry about it. We'll just carry on with this boring stuff that we're doing. Remember, people don't show up to these games. And usually when they show the games of the teams in the stadiums, they show the wrong side of the stadium on the cameras. Because they show the ones where there's no one sitting on that side. Like, there's like no one at the games. They're all just behind the camera on the other side. And FMG Stadium, where I'm at in Hamilton, is like, that's what they do. It looks like no one's at the game. Until you have another shot coming back the other side and everyone's sitting on one side because there's not enough people to put on both sides. That's what I'm saying, is it's like there needs to be more than this where we can get more, attract more people into it. Making like going to the games an event. Making like going to the games is going to, like I've always talked about like FMG, like if you've been here to Hamilton, the FMG Stadium here, there's this big grass pit. I was thinking, why don't they just have night markets there and have them take their food in? Because it's so expensive going to these games. So expensive. Not even like the tickets are fine. It's the food when you get in there. Why don't you just have night markets on the front and you can just take your food in? It's like, why not something like that? And someone's sitting there going, oh, well, because you have to buy the shop and you got to buy. It's like, yeah, have you noticed how many shops are up there? Hardly any. And hardly anyone goes and buys from this. Now, if you make it an event, night markets food into the game, that's different. Then you get new vendors there. You get new people coming there. People might just go for the food and go, oh, we might as well just go buy a ticket. But you got to get people to the stadium first. A night market will do that. Have you seen all those night markets in Auckland? Like if you're from Auckland or this way, go to all those night markets in Auckland. It's packed as. Have that outside of Eden Park. Have it at Kōwhai, Intermediate. Have them all walk down, take your food in. Have all those shops closed or have those shops over there at the thing, do something. Make it an event. Make everything that we do an event. Make these drafts an event. That's how I see it. Make it memorable. I hope something like this happens. I don't know if it will. I don't know this was going to be this long, but that's my idea anyway. Without any kind of graphics, without any kind of, fancy whatever pull up. I honestly, I was so pissed off when I was trying to make this video the last time and I just deleted it and go, stuff this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this makes sense. A lot of questions. Ask away. But yeah. I'm Herschel Fruin. Later, ball.